Hello, my good friends. Welcome to the Don't Stifle Me podcast. My name is Jacob Stee-full, and this is my podcast where I get to sit down with guests from all across music and performing arts and discuss how they got to where they are, the challenges, ups and downs of chasing something that you're passionate about, and anything else that comes up in conversation along the way. By the way, I have some shows of mine coming up. I will be in Jasper, Alabama, January 26th. I'll be here just outside of Nashville in Donaldson, Tennessee, January 27th. February 16th, I'll be in Daphne, Alabama, and February 17th, I'll be in Mobile, Alabama. And those are all acoustic shows, just me and my guitar and harmonicas, and I'll be singing songs for you. So if you're around any of those places, come hang out. You can find more info about those shows and more at jacobstiefel.com. As for the podcast here, if you enjoy the talk and you want more, first off, make sure you click subscribe, but also check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. Over there for as little as $1 or $3 a month, you can help support the podcast. Plus, you get access to exclusive behind-the-scenes pictures, videos, MP3 downloads of songs that I play with some of the guests when they come in, and much more. And once again, if you want to check that out, you can see all that and more at www.patreon.com/DSM podcast. All right, with me today here in the studio office, at the desk, at the table, behind the microphones, right here where I am, is Amber Atnip. Amber, aside from being an old friend of mine, she is executive producer and on-air personality for Taste of Country Nights, which is a nationally syndicated country radio show. And this was a great talk, not just because I got to learn a lot about my friend Amber, but also I think it's important for people to hear about her journey and how she got to a job that she really loves and is very passionate about when she had no idea what she wanted to do. She just loved music. Couldn't play or sing or anything. She just loved music, but that's all she knew. But she got there by going out on a limb and trying something new. And I believe we could all benefit from doing that a little bit more in life. So we talk about that and a whole lot more. Here's my talk with Amber Atnip.
Pick it up from piano.
How's the coffee?
Delightful.
Good. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Are you happy with everything right now?
Yeah.
Your situation in life
I'm
and everything?
so comfortable. Everything
Wonderful.
is wonderful.
Me too. I tried a new gym this morning for the first time up in Hermitage. It was fantastic.
You've been really for years now.
Yeah, I kind of bounce around. I don't like going the same place for too long of a time. And the one I've been going to for about 2 years. So I looked and I wanted to find a place with a sauna. And this one I found in Hermitage has a sauna, and it has an indoor pool where you can swim laps, and it's got an indoor track. And so
all the options.
Definitely, yeah, it's great.
Man, I got to convince myself that I like to work out because I 100% don't like to work out.
Yeah.
And so I haven't actually worked out in years. I need to start going to the gym though.
You know, there's so many different things I want to do, and I'm kind of like this with musical instruments, but I want to kickbox. I want to do yoga. I want to lift weights, and I kind of want to run, not really, but I want to do all these things. There's just not enough days in the week to be successful at all of those. So, but I'm like that with instruments. I want to play guitar and I want to play harmonica. I want to play bass, and I'd kind of like to get a drum set and set it up and play. So, but yeah, I've found that lifting weights, it helps me to almost like a meditation or whatever, because it helps me to get out of the house, get away from my booking and my emailing and the podcast and everything. I can just go and for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, put in some music. And
I did, for a long time, I did hot yoga.
I've never done that. I want to so bad.
I mean, it will kill you. It's about midway through, you're like, yep, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. And to just physically, I went to a studio up on Music Row, and to physically not have my phone around me was the greatest thing that I've ever experienced. Just leave it in another room, and there's no... they play light music and they, walk you through it all and whatnot. And it's just so fantastic. But man, hot yoga is expensive.
Yeah. It's I looked at one place in East Nashville, and you could go, the first 10 or 15 classes were pretty cheap. But then it's after that, it's going to be, we're going to take your blood every month.
Pretty much. It was the place I went, it was like $120 a month. I was like, ugh. And that's really cheap for hot yoga is what I found. And I was like, I can't spring that in my budget. Like,
I used to do kickboxing at Hot Box here in Nashville. Yeah. And that was awesome. But at the time, I was paying like $80-something a month, and that was too much. And since then, they've gone up to like well over $100 a month.
Like, it was so good for me, and I loved it so much. But I can't wrap my head around paying $120 a month or more for me to go to one class a week, maybe.
Yeah, I can see it's all relative as to how much you're making. But someone in my position definitely can't be spending $120 a month.
I told somebody the other day that hot yoga is rich people exercising.
That's a valid point. Yoga is so great. I wish I could do. I don't know why I don't do yoga every single day.
It's fantastic.
I always feel the best when I'm doing a lot of yoga above anything else. Common sense would tell me to do that.
And you don't, do you? Huh?
It's like the best I've ever felt in my life was there for about a year when I lost a bunch of weight. I was doing a lot of yoga, and I wasn't drinking at all, and I was eating well. A number of things, but most of it was not drinking hardly at all and doing a lot of yoga. And it's so easy to slip back into drinking a lot
and not
doing a lot of yoga. It's
it's a deathly cycle.
The trials of life. Well, for those people that are out there listening to this, would you like to tell them who you are, what your position is, where you work, and all, just kind of an intro?
All that fun stuff?
Yeah, all that fun stuff.
So I'm Amber Atnip. I'm the executive producer for Taste of Country Nights, which is a nationally syndicated nighttime country radio show. That was a mouthful, by the way.
That's a lot. I feel like you said it a couple of times, though.
It was like a brain went on just auto for that little moment. So my main job is scheduling interviews and artist prep, so coming up with questions for interviews, sometimes doing the interviews, coordinating all of these interviews, editing audio, coming up with new ideas for the show, talking on air, just pretty much everything that someone else isn't already doing.
To do with the show. Yeah. So you do all that stuff, but then you also are like one of the on-air personalities, right?
Yeah, so I talk on air a few times every night. It's such a unique thing to be on air because I always thought, it'll be so super easy to you're just talking. Yeah. Duh, that's so easy. But the longer you do it, the more like self-conscious you become, which seems like it would be the opposite. But you worry, like, I know for me personally, I worry that I'm going to upset someone or make someone like hurt somebody's feelings or
I can see you being worried about that, you sweet thing.
Like, I just don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I especially don't want to hurt anybody's feelings on accident. Yeah. So you really have to be careful with what you say and what you don't say, and it's just a mindful
I really worry more about sounding stupid. but then at some point I've just been like, what the hell? It's like, this is me. There's a lot of things I know. There's a whole lot more things that I don't know. And I'm just kind of being more okay with that as the years go on, I suppose. I think the hardest thing for me when I started the podcast was, like, I've been playing music for years and performing for years and talking to people at live shows, thousands of people, whatever. But sitting in a room, especially when it was just me, when I'm doing the intros and outros and stuff, and I'm not talking to anyone, but I am talking to someone.
It's odd.
I'm talking to the people out there that are listening right now. Thanks for listening. But in reality, you and I are just sitting here.
Yeah. It's so weird. Sometimes I know, like with the show, so we're on 101 stations across the country.
Is this a live thing or is it taped?
Luckily, we're taped.
Okay.
I don't know how I don't know if I'd be able to function if the show was completely live. But we're taped, which is fantastic. But we're on across the country, and we had a consultant one time who, she would listen to the show and then come back to us and be like, hey, here are some things that you could do better. Here's what you need to work on. That kind of thing, just to give us a little guidance on how it sounds from the other end.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll never forget one time she said, Amber, we have to work on your accent. It's really thick and you're on in Wyoming. Like, they have no idea what you're saying. And I was like, I don't hear anything. Yeah. She was like, we do.
Yeah. The people in Tennessee might not notice it that much, but the people in
Wyoming, they have no clue what I'm saying at all.
I could definitely see that. It's very important. I have to focus a lot on not mumbling. Like I have like the Alabama mumble.
Oh,
like,
yeah. That one.
Yeah.
Mine isn't mumble. When I get really excited about something, my voice goes really, really, really high pitched. And when I listen back to it, I'm like, oh, God. Like, I just made my eye twitch. That's so much to handle. Like, why are you guys listening to me?
Yeah. I think playing music in between songs, I think that's where I've gotten the most, like, talking in between songs is the most like this. Because you're talking, especially when I'm playing like coffee shops or songwriter things, because then you're really just talking to the people that are sitting out there in front of you. And through years of watching other people and going to other shows, I've noticed how important it is that when you're not singing, the dynamic of your voice when you're singing is much louder. So they have the microphone set for that.
Yeah.
So then when you're in between songs, a lot of people get to talking. And it sounds
they
like
get that mumble on. Yeah.
You know, you can't understand what they're saying. So I told myself a long time ago, in between songs, make sure you enunciate and speak clearly so that the people, 4 or 5 rows or in the back of the room can understand what you're saying. Because it's important. You're talking about the songs that you're singing or you're talking about whatever. Oh, yeah. People need to understand what you're saying.
There's nothing worse than when an artist does a song, they're like, and that was my song. And you're like, what? What?
I don't get, and it's crazy to me when I go to songwriter nights and you can't understand the words to the songs.
No.
That's the whole point of all this. Like, I'm not at a show. I'm not at like a live band rock and roll show. I'm at a songwriter night. I want to hear the words to the songs that the guys are singing, but whatever.
I feel you.
It's not my place, I guess. I just, people running things. I'm not gonna start bitching, Amber. I'm not going to do it. We're going to stay positive. We're going to stay positive.
Rein you in. I drove a friend and I actually. So obviously, like, you have friends, and when your work is so much a part of who you are and what you. It's not just your 9-to-5 job. Like this industry is so. It's everything. Like, all of my friends work in the industry.
Very much intertwined with your life. Yeah.
It is. So when I hang out with like one of my girlfriends and I want to hang out and like, oh, let's go out to eat and let's bitch about whatever.
Yeah.
It's really hard to go anywhere because you don't know. If you go out to a restaurant, you don't know if the person 2 tables over is somebody's stylist or their makeup artist or their publicist or a songwriter and it's just all these people in Nashville's a huge city, obviously.
Yeah, you go and start complaining about a song and then it's like, the songwriter is sitting right next to me.
Exactly. And it happens so often. So last night, my friend and I, who also works in the industry, we were like, you know what, we're gonna drive all the way out to Bellevue. Like this is. I feel like nobody lives out in Bellevue, and so
normal
we drove.
People live out. People with normal lives.
People with normal lives live out in Bellevue. Drove all the way out to Bellevue, and we went to this little crappy Mexican restaurant, and it was like we're in like a back corner booth. Like, we've already scoped it out to make sure that like nobody's really around, so we can actually have genuine conversations, not have to filter through everything that we're saying. Not that we're saying anything bad, but just talking about life that you don't want everybody in town to know. Right.
Sometimes you want to just be able to have open conversation and not worry about somebody's boss or something.
So we were just going, and midway, like, our conversation just came to like a little lull. And I kid you not, the table behind us, there were these 2 college kids, and they were talking about their favorite country songs. And this girl was like, I love that When It Rains It Pours song. There's this line in there about Hooters, and I think that's hilarious. And they're going on. And my friend and I just could not like stop giggling because so that was last night. This morning, I had one of the guys who wrote When It Rains It Pours by Luke Combs. I had him in my studio this morning. Oh, yeah. And I was like, this is everything that's beautiful and awful about Nashville. This moment. This is everything.
So did you say something to him about?
No, I didn't. I just like quietly sat there and I was like, oh. Like, it was so sweet just to hear somebody be so genuinely passionate. Yeah. But it was just that example of you never know who's sitting next to you because, they had no idea that like we were good friends with the guys who wrote that and that they would be in my studio.
I learned that lesson long ago. I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, but my mom and I were at the grocery store and I couldn't have been 12, whatever, really young. And we were standing in line to check out and I was talking shit about somebody, I don't know, making fun of somebody at school or something, I don't know. And mom kind of gave me like a shh kind of face, like she
the mom
pointed behind her and said, that's his mom. and like pointed to the lady behind us in line. And I was like, shit. And felt bad. Felt really, really bad. Yeah. And we went on and checked out and went out to the car. And I said, Mom, how'd you know that was his mom? She said, I don't know, but it could have been.
That is the best life lesson I have ever heard. Yeah. That is fantastic.
I was like, damn, you got me, Mom. That was good.
Wow. Yeah. That's wonderful.
My mom is a saint.
It's so true. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, remember that one.
You tell your mama thank you for that.
I will, yeah.
Because that was a solid life lesson. And it's so true. It doesn't matter how big the city is. You don't know who the person is behind you.
Well, it's just also a good lesson. Don't talk shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so it's one thing to, unload your problems on a friend, but you just have to do it the right way.
Indeed. So where are you from, Amber?
Man, I'm from an hour south of Nashville. So Shelbyville, which is, or as people from there say it, Shovel. And a shovel. And I mean, it's not big at all. It's a little tiny town, and we're known for like pencils and walking horses.
Pencils and walking horses, all right.
I know. I think we have a Chili's.
No.
We don't have like a Starbucks. I think we just got a Zaxby's.
Okay.
Which is
sounds very similar to Fort Payne.
Pretty big time. Yeah.
We just got a Chick-fil-A in Fort Payne, or Mom and
You got a
they
Chick-fil-A?
got a Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
Dang, we don't have.
That was big time. There's of course lined up at the door on the opening day, down the street, and they do have a Ruby Tuesday, a Santa Fe Steakhouse. I think they might have just got a Chili's.
Wow.
Actually, big time. No Starbucks. They do have a local coffee shop. Yeah, it's come along in the last few years.
We have a local one, I think, as well. But I think our only real sit down place, like chain kind of place, is pretty much Chili's.
Yeah.
Like that's just about it. But we don't have a Target or.
I saw one of the last times I was back home in Fort Payne that they have a Rue 21 now. Look out. Which, at 30 is not that big of a deal to me. But I guess if I might have been 19 again, I might have liked to shop there. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe not. But no, we don't. I don't know. Like we have a lot of boutiques in my hometown. There's a boutique in my hometown that's run by a girl I went to school with, and some other things like that. And that's always cool to like go in there, and because I live in Nashville now, and I go home to visit my family pretty frequently, but when I'm visiting my family, I'm with my family.
Yeah.
Like at the house having dinner or something like that. I don't go out much in my hometown anymore, but I always forget how small it is. Like in my hometown, I don't go anywhere without a full face of makeup and like.
You got to be ready. You never know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll run into 7 or 8 people that I know went to high school with, or I'll run into somebody's mama.
Oh, yeah. You walk in. It's the same way in Fort Payne. You walk into a restaurant, and like the first thing you do is look around and say, like, okay, who do I know? Who do I need to say hey to?
Oh, yeah.
Who can I avoid?
Yep, that sounds about right. Small town probs right there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm the same way that when I go to mom and dad's, usually I rarely leave mom and dad's or my sisters or grandmothers. It's all right there about the same area. I got buddies that when we go home for Thanksgiving or they come in from Georgia or wherever, and they'll be like, hey, let's get together and get a drink or something. It's like, well, all right, I guess I could leave mom and dad's house for an hour or something. But
you should go to Chili's. They have this blueberry margarita that's to die for. I'm dead serious.
I always, like, mom and dad live out in the country outside of Fort Payne, and it's really not but maybe 15 minutes from in town. Mm-hmm. Maybe that much. But it's like 15 or 20 miles out or so.
Yeah.
So it's out in the country, but here in Nashville, it'd be like driving from here into downtown, which I'll drive 15, 20, 25 minutes any day of the week to go somewhere here in Nashville.
Yeah, to go literally
But when
anywhere.
I'm back home, it's a weird psychological thing that when I'm back in Alabama, I don't want to get in the car and drive the 10 minutes it takes to go into town to go to a store or something. I'm like, well, that's all the way in town.
Yeah, well, it's because everything's so spread out. Like my grandmother was actually complaining the other day. She was mad because she wanted to order a pizza, and Pizza Hut told her they wouldn't deliver. They wouldn't deliver all the way out to her house, but she could meet them at the edge of town.
Really? Would they do that?
I'm not driving out to the edge of town to come and get a pizza. I might as well go the rest of the way.
And that's funny.
It was the cutest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So did you grow up in Shelbyville?
I did.
We've got a town in Alabama called Albertville, and everybody says Albertville. So it's the same kind of thing.
I did. Born and raised there, so I feel like everybody in Nashville is they're transplant.
Right.
Nobody's from this area.
You're pretty damn close to.
I know. I always say I'm the unicorn.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else who is from like Nashville area that. I mean, obviously, besides people I went to school with.
For sure. I think that's part. I don't know. A lot of that I think is the industry, being in the music industry, because I Lyft drive part time here in Nashville, and so doing that, I've met a lot more people that are from Nashville because you meet people with normal Monday through Friday day jobs, and so I've met a lot more at that. But yeah, in music, I might know on one hand, I could count on one hand the number of people I know in the music industry that are from Nashville.
Yeah, I don't know many.
Did you go to college?
I did. I went to MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University, which is in Murfreesboro. I went my first year to University of Tennessee at Knoxville, and I loved it. My mom called me towards the end of my freshman year and was like, "So, I'm pregnant." And
oh wow,
yeah. So I have a sister who's 18 years younger. No, she's 18 years younger than me, and a brother that's 21 years younger than me.
Whoa. Yeah. Well, they just decided to go for another round, didn't they?
And there's nothing in between. So,
yeah, that's interesting.
But then I moved home, closer to home, and went to MTSU and finished out school there. But I did almost everything online. Like, I think like my sophomore year of college, I actually did on-campus classes. Yeah. But junior and senior year, almost everything was online.
Really?
Oh, heck yeah. Well, by that time, I also had an internship at... WSIX, the Big 98.
Did you get that through school?
I did.
Nice.
Actually, my mom, all-knowing mom, saw something somewhere where the Big 98 was looking for interns. She was like, "Amber, you should do this." And at that time, I had literally no plan whatsoever.
I was going to ask if you had like a goal or dream job or something.
Nope, just drifting through life. Yeah. Like, had no clue. My mom was like, "You really need to do this internship. Like, you've always loved music so much." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's not really a job. Like, duh. I don't know anybody who does music for a job. That's silly." And she was like, "No, you're going to do this internship." She really.
Well, when I met you, it was at Big Shots downtown when I was playing there. And were you flyering? Is that what you were doing? Yeah.
Yeah, I was handing out flyers.
Come in, cheap drinks.
Yeah,
you can smoke in here.
Yeah, it's like
at
$2.
That time you could. Yeah,
it's like $2 double shots or something crazy. Yeah. $5 double shots. I mean, the craziest cheap prices. And I was actually at that time. I was doing online classes, interning during the day at WSIX, and then going to work at the bar at night just to make some money, because
hustling. Yeah,
as an intern, like obviously as an unpaid
it's free, intern.
Yeah, so that really helped me. All those online classes, obviously. I did that internship, but my mom really pushed me into it.
So the online classes you could do whenever, right? So that's huge.
Yeah. So, but my mom really pushed me into being an intern. And honestly, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have ever even looked up. She was like, "No, you're going to do it." And then actually, they came back. My major was music business. Actually, I don't think I even had a major at that time, but I was like, well, maybe I'll try music business. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, like at that point, you're like 19, 20. You're like, whatever. Whatever.
The vast amount of things that you don't know at 19 and 20.
And so I was just like I was a dandelion in the breeze.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. I'll figure it out. I'm only a sophomore in college. Right. And so we went to do the internship, and WSX like, "Yeah, we love you. That's great. You'd be a wonderful intern. Let's do this." And I went to go get all the paperwork from MTSU, and they told me that I didn't have enough credits, and I couldn't to get an internship. I had to have a major, and I had to have a certain number of credits, and each major differed in the amount of credits that I had to have. And so if I were to do music business, I would have had to be like almost a senior. I would have had enough credits to have to just take an internship. And I guess that was, it was my sophomore year. And so my mom threw the biggest like mama bear fit I've ever seen, like went up to the school.
Oh, wow.
And it's like I was in second grade, like went up to the school and through this.
Hey, you listen here.
And he, like, the person who was over the department told her, like, well, if she has this opportunity now, then she'll have it again, like, in a few years. And my mother was like, absolutely not. Like, just just this tornado of a woman just yelling. Yeah. And we found the loophole that I could change my major to organizational communication. And if I changed my major to that, they didn't require
as many credits.
And I could use those credits that I had that were just for like my basic classes.
Yeah.
Towards
organizational communication.
Yeah. And so that's what I did. And that's how I was able to take so many online classes and I didn't ever even.
Because of that major or something?
Yeah, because of that major. And I never changed my major. I ended up falling in love with it. It was,
what does that like consist of? Like what?
It basically learning how to communicate and how to be an employee, but also
organized communicator.
Yeah, pretty much. But the thing is, I could use it to like if I wanted to be like if I wanted to work at a hotel and be like a coordinator of some type at a hotel or something like that, I could do that, or work on a cruise ship or anything like that. It's really just a degree in communication, basically. And it just
like communication or an event planning or something.
Yeah, kind of. It just honestly, it was a fluff degree, to be honest. But I really did enjoy the classes, and it talked about like upward communication and downward communication, and like basically how to write emails was a lot of it, and how to communicate in a professional way, and things like that. And I thought it was a really, really great and wonderful.
Yeah.
Like it
sounds like, whether or not the title means anything, it does sound like you actually learned things that help you in your career now,
Yeah. And
that's what school should be about.
Exactly. And so I changed my degree to that, and that's what I did. I mean, that's what my degree is in. And
what was your internship? What did you do as an intern there?
So I interned for over a year, I guess.
I think that's what you were... Was that where you were doing when Chance and I came and visited a couple of times?
Yeah.
You were in the room with like one or two other people. And okay.
And so I was an intern there. I was a promotions intern. So basically I helped plan events and contests and things like that for the radio station. And iHeart here has WSIX, the Big 98, 105.9 The Rock, which is a rock station, obviously. Yeah. 101.1 The Beat, which is a hip hop and R&B station, and 107.5 The River, which is a top 40 station. So I worked with 105.9 The Rock and WSIX, the Big 98, so the country station and the rock station, actually, just creating promotions and taking care of winners and making sure that like winners were called, winners were pulled, they were put in like our system, and they came to pick up their prizes. And it's just a lot of coordinating, basically. And I did 2 internships.
That's great experience. Learning all that stuff. Yeah.
And so I did two semesters of interning that way, in promotions. Yeah. And then there was doing at WSIX, a lot of things were changing hands, and people were leaving, and new people were coming in, and that kind of thing into positions. And a guy that I'd worked with there, really liked me. He said, "Hey, why don't you be my intern?" Yeah. And which was weird because he was the afternoon guy, and he also did some like music directing, so basically picking out the songs that play on the radio. And I was like, "Well, Anthony, you don't have interns." And he was like, "No, you should be my intern." Yeah. And so within a few weeks of me being his intern, air quotes, they ended up actually hiring me as a promotions assistant, which is a part-time position, basically doing the same things I was doing as an intern. But it could pay you a little bit. Yeah, they're paying me a little bit. Yeah. And so
you mentioned, sorry to interrupt,
no,
you mentioned that those stations all were under iHeartRadio. Mm-hmm. For people that don't know, explain, how does that work? iHeartRadio is like the mother company, and then those are all underneath the umbrella, so to speak?
iHeart is a giant radio company that owns a bunch of different radio stations. iHeart is the largest radio company. And then, so they own a ton of radio stations across the country. And then here in Nashville, they have iHeart Nashville, which is all the stations that they own here in Nashville. Yeah. So if you go to a different city, they own stations there too, more than likely, because they're just so massive. Right. And so there's also like Cumulus, which is the second largest radio company and owns a handful of stations here in Nashville.
As iHeart, How long have they been around, like then under that name? Because I feel like I just started hearing that.
Yeah, they
6
used
years
to
ago
be,
or something.
Yeah, they used to be Clear Channel.
Oh, okay, that's
and
it.
they
Okay.
switched from Clear Channel they renamed to iHeart. And yeah, I mean, probably about 6 years ago.
Something like that, because I remember they started doing the festival, the iHeart Radio Festival or whatever,
and the app, and
all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So just wanted to rebrand, I guess.
Yeah, they had shifted from Clear Channel to iHeart, and sometimes it's hard for me. Sometimes I still call them Clear Channel because when I worked there, it was Clear Channel.
Okay.
Yeah. So in my mind, sometimes I'm like, oh, over there at Clear Channel. I'm like,
no,
that's not their name anymore.
So you got the part-time job.
Yeah, I got the part-time job. And I did that. My boss became pregnant, and so I was her part-time assistant. And then when she went on maternity leave, I filled in for her. And did that for a while, and then she came back, and I went back to being an assistant, and then she left, and I filled in for her again, and back to being the promotions assistant. And I'll tell you, like, all the respect in the entire world for people who do radio promotions, because that's a job that'll absolutely kill you. Like, it was the most exhausting job I have ever had, and I've ever had to experience, because there's just so many moving pieces. At any given moment, you've got 4 say have a contest in each day part. You have 3-4 contests in a day, and just like coordinating all that and making sure you get all the prizes that you're supposed to be giving away, and then also making sure that like the winners are called and they have to come and pick all this stuff up, and then coordinating bigger promotions that have to do with artists and venues,
shows, and
and like you've got salespeople going, I have this restaurant XYZ and I have sold the spot to them, and during the lunch hour of this week you have to give away this prize. It was the most. It was the most exhausting job I've ever had.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm a little stressed just of the things you just named off there.
Like, there's organization alone with like just trying to handle because if you didn't keep everything organized, it was just a jumble of like.
Imagine how people did all that like pre-computers.
I know, like
in the 80s.
How
many notebooks did you have on the shelf?
For real, I have no idea how everything got done. And like, I'm a really organized person, and I'm super OCD about organizing everything. And it was a lot all the time. So, but after I got that, my friend Patrick Thomas, who is he produces Big Damn Bubba, which is a nationally syndicated morning show. Mm-hmm. And, he told me, he was like, hey, there's going to be this new show. It's going to be in our building. They're looking for a producer. You would be really good at that. And I was like, well, you do know I have literally no experience as a producer.
I don't even know what that means.
I was like, I don't know. And he was like, Amber, you're smart. You're organized. You're a people person. You'd be great on air. You should really do this. And I was like, oh, man, I don't know. Like, I have literally no experience doing that. Yeah. And like, he pushed me. He was like, no, you're going to, like, this is something you would be really good at. You have to take the lead.
Do it.
I know. So basically what I'm telling you is every job I've ever had is because somebody basically kicked me in the ass and made me do it. Like, no, awesome. You're going to do it.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes that.
Yeah.
So at what point, well, first, do you play any musical instruments or anything?
No, I can't even whistle. That's how untalented
really?
I am. I'm dead serious. I can offer nothing musically.
Well, at what point up until that point, did you like start really, okay, I really love this radio stuff. I could really see myself doing this for long amounts of time.
When I was an intern, actually, because of course my mom was right the entire time. Like,
isn't it so annoying when the parents are just right about everything?
Yeah. It was just always, I think radio is something that I would have picked up earlier. I would have been more into earlier had someone told me there are jobs in radio. Like, it's not growing up. It's not something that like anybody ever talks about. You
just think, oh, the DJ. Yeah. That's all you think of on radio.
Yeah. And there's so many different parts of the music industry. There's so many. I was
going to say that's the music industry overall. Yeah. Like if you're somebody who can't even whistle, there's still 10,000 jobs for you in the music business. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it really is insane, but I don't think I ever knew that it was an option. And then once I became an intern, I was like, damn, I do love radio. Like I've always gotten like a really special feeling, you know, when you get in your car and you just get in your car and say you're having a bad day or something, but your favorite song comes on the radio. Yeah. And it's just this feeling of that you can't recreate with, you know, your phone or with a CD.
Yeah, pulling it up on purpose.
Because you don't know it's coming. And it's this magical moment of, out of all the songs that this radio station could have played, out of all the radio stations that I could have been listening to, you just played my favorite song.
My vehicle that I'm driving right now is a Mercury Mariner. And when I test drove it almost 2 years ago, for the first time I test drove it, I got in, cranked it up, turned the radio on, and I put it on 105.9, and Foghat Slow Ride was like just starting. It was like one of my favorite songs of all time. And I was like, oh, this might be a sign.
This is a sign. This is it.
And so I drove it and loved it. It was a little too expensive, but then ended up like 3 or 4 months later, I went back and ended up getting it. So I know exactly what you mean. There's something about that.
It is.
Serendipitous moment of like, oh, this is my favorite song of all the millions of songs that there are. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was that special moment that really drew me to continue to stay in radio. And it was just something I had never thought about. I just didn't know that there was this potential to have a career in radio because, you know, when there are career days and things like that, radio is not something that's usually represented. And I had this conversation the other day with somebody who was talking about there's not enough young people coming into radio and we're having a problem getting that young and fresh talent in radio. And I'm like, it's because they don't know their jobs. Like they can't be interested in something they don't know exists. It's just a lack of information. And I know absolutely for me, like 110%, that's what it was. Yeah. I just didn't know until I got in there and I was like, wow, there are a lot of jobs in here. There's so many different aspects of it besides just the guy standing on stage singing a song.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. So what is your opinion, being on your side of things, of like the future of radio versus like on demand, like podcasts or on demand streaming and stuff like that versus, you know, terrestrial?
I think I've heard a lot of people, oh, radio is going to die. I don't think radio is going to die. Yeah. I think that it's still the way the majority of people discover music. Yeah. I mean, and I'm 26. I listen to Spotify. I listen to, you know, other outlets like that. But I enjoy the personal aspect of radio. Like on the Big 98 in the middays, it's Amy Page. And I love hearing Amy Page talk out of a song because I feel like she's talking with me. And she's riding there, she's in my car with me. And that's something that Spotify and other streaming stuff, they don't have. There's no personal connection. I mean, I do enjoy hearing, you know, Amy tell me something super unique about, you know, did Chris Young just get a new dog, or, you know, just like talking to me. Yeah. And it's only like in those little clips. And I know it sounds silly, but like I remember growing up and my mom listened to Jerry House almost every morning. And when Jerry found out he had, I think he had a brain tumor or cancer, one or the other. And, not sure, yeah. And I remember my mom sobbing hysterically because this is somebody she listened to. She'd gotten
so close.
Yeah. And this is before the age of social media. She had no idea what he looked like. Yeah. She didn't know him in real life, but because she listened to him every day, she felt like Jerry House was her friend. Yeah. And she was mourning this terrible thing that happened to her friend. And that's something that all these streaming sites, they can't.
Well, it's interesting. Like, I hadn't even thought about this until right now, but terrestrial radio like that, like those kind of shows, it's like the streaming stuff and podcasts are where terrestrial radio has split into that. Mm-hmm. It's like now you can listen to podcasts and listen to people talking and stuff, or you can listen to streaming and just music. Mm-hmm. But terrestrial radio is still kind of like a mixture
blend of the both.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's a good point. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a 500 million more reasons and more educated people who have facts and numbers that can tell you all these wonderful things on both sides. Yeah. But for me, that's absolutely what's so special about it to me. Even, I just think it's that personal connection that radio gives that nothing else does.
Yeah. I don't think it's dying either. I think things will change, and I'm sure they'll have to do things. Like I've got a friend that's got a station, helps run a station in Alabama, and I was talking with her about this the other day and how they're doing more online things and some on-demand kind of stuff, but also still doing your standard radio things. And it's hard at times, but they're just kind of trying to stay consistent with what they've always done, but also change with the times and come up with new things. So
and it's all about, I think that's so important to remember, that it's about going with the times and continuing to move forward. I don't think that radio has to die out, and I think maybe the only way that radio is going to die out is if it refuses to continue to move forward with the times and with technology. You can't just be like this is the way we've always done it. This is the way we're always going to do it. I'm not going to change anything. Yeah, and I think that pertains to anything. And anything and anybody. If you plant your feet like that, it ain't going to work.
Yeah, I got some people, some friends of mine that are artists and songwriters, and a few of them are like anti-social media, and they'll say like, well, so and so back in the 70s didn't have social media or whatever. I'm like, well, yeah, but you better believe that if they did, they'd use the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like if
use your
Willie
resources.
Nelson or whoever could have typed something into something and reached
more
5 million fans, then damn right he would have done it. Yeah. So you gotta weigh the good with the bad, and
it is true.
Go along with the times. So when you went from that to the part-time job, and then, so we got to the taste of, I'm trying to catch back up here to where we were. So you got
off on a tangent. That was good, though.
It happens, We're just going with the flow. So you started the Taste of Country Nights thing. So how's that going? Tell us what you've been doing that 2 years now? Is that right?
No, man. May will be my 4 year.
You said 4, that's right.
Yeah, 4-year anniversary.
It's awesome.
It grows every day. Like I look back at when I very first started, I look at it and I'm like, what was I doing with all my time? Like, my goodness, because I've just gradually picked up so much stuff, just like you do in any job.
Yeah.
But 4 years, and I feel like I've grown so much as a person and in this position, and it's really allowed me to make some connections that I didn't have, and I've got to meet wonderful, wonderful people, not just the artists, but the people who work with them, work for them, and so many just passionate and interesting people.
Who's been the coolest, most interesting, or your favorite person that you've met?
Artist-wise, I will do, I'll tell you, nobody owns the game quite like Garth Brooks.
Yeah. He just knows, he's just it.
He's magical. He's a magical human. That's the way I can describe Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Once he meets you once, he remembers you.
Yeah.
I watched him a few years back. He recorded this commercial thing, and this is before the big comeback and everything. And we had all these, this is when I was still working at WSX. We had all these listeners there, and the person who was with him was like, "Hey Garth, you have 45 minutes and then we got to go. You got to head out, man." Yeah. And he was like, "Okay, sure. I need to talk to all these people who are here." And he went out of his way to talk to every single one of them and take pictures and some lady had him record a voicemail for a message and FaceTime with somebody, and he just went above and beyond for every single one of those people. And there's one point this woman comes up to him, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I went to a meet and greet one time and met you," and he was like, "Oh, Karen, we met at that in 1992 at the show."
No way.
And I was like, there's no way this woman is not planted. But that's just who he is. He has this giant memory.
Yeah.
He remembers everybody. And
that's a gift.
It is a gift. And it is just so incredible to watch him walk into a room because it's Garth freaking Brooks. Garth doesn't, in your mind, you're like, this is a huge superstar. And here he is remembering everybody's name, shaking everybody's hands. And it's not just the, like, kind of like, I'm really guilty of this one. If someone comes up and talks to me, I will act like, even if I can't remember you, I will pretend that I remember you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because I think it's just so rude to not know somebody who knows you. So 100, I'm like, hey, how are you? But no, Garth isn't faking it. Like, he genuinely remembers. He'll be like, hey, Jacob, how are you doing? Like, he's in it. Like, he knows. He remembers your name. He'll address you by your name. He'll bring up something from the last time that you talked to him.
It's a rare breed.
It is the most incredible thing I've ever witnessed. And it's just that kind of personality is, I mean, what?
Yeah.
Who does that? Who has that gift? Garth.
Yeah.
That's it. So he's definitely one of the coolest and most interesting and kind humans I've ever met. Goes out of his way to make special moments with people. And that's so much more valuable than a selfie or than an autograph. It's those special moments.
I really don't understand autographs.
Yeah, like, it's not.
I feel like it was a really cool thing
anymore.
in the 50s and 60s. Like, you didn't know these people. Like, you got to see this person and whatever. But now it's like.
Now the selfie has come along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's the new autograph is the selfie.
Is the selfie. But I'll tell you, it's all about the experience with Garth. And I had the most. He made me cry. Like the time before last when I saw him, we were at the CMA remotes, which is basically they take a bunch of, it's right before the CMA Awards. They take a bunch of radio stations, they put us all in a room, and the artist visits, like stops at each booth and does like 5-minute interviews with each person in there.
Yeah.
And he got to our booth and we were playing this cool like 90s game. And we were having the artist pull out lyrics to a song, and they had to finish the lyrics for the song. It was all 90s country songs.
Okay.
And
how was Garth at that?
You know what? He did not get Maybe It Was Memphis by Pam Tillis, and I gave him so much hell for it.
Yeah.
And he like jokingly was like, how do you know this? Like, you're like 12. And I told him, I said, hey, I just turned 26 like yesterday. Like, because my birthday's right around CMA every year. And I said, man, I just turned 26 yesterday. Okay. Like,
back up.
Like, just kidding with him. And he was like, how'd you celebrate? And I said, it's CMA Awards, and that's the hardest time of the year for radio and for country music just because it's so busy.
Yeah.
And there's so much to do. And I was like, so I didn't celebrate. I just worked because CMA week. And he was like, well, Amber, well, you ever been out to a show? And I said, no, I haven't. And he goes, well, Andy, and he like calls over like his guy that's there with him. Yeah. And he goes, and make sure she gets 2 tickets to the show. I want you to come out to my show in Nashville and celebrate with us, and we'll celebrate your birthday. And I want you to come hang out at the show. I'll give you 2 tickets. And I responded in the way that I'm sure one day if someone ever proposes to me, this is exactly how I respond. I just went, oh my God, are you sure? Are you sure? And, and Garth was like, yeah, it's my show. Like, I'm sure. Yeah. And it was just this wonderful, special, beautiful moment. Like, he was so thoughtful to say, well, how did you celebrate?
Yeah.
Like,
most people would maybe been like, oh, well, happy birthday.
Yeah, but he took that extra step to say, how did you celebrate? Let me make sure you have tickets to my show. Come out to the show, hang out. And that was just such a beautiful, special moment. Like,
well, there's a reason he's Garth Brooks. That's
the reason. Yeah. I mean, it's just these special moments that he creates with people. And I'm sure that there are thousands and thousands of other people out there who have a very similar story of Garth Brooks just being
I am
Garth.
And have been for my whole life. I am a Garth Brooks fan. However, when I look at him now, I would rather see the 1994 Garth Brooks in like the rodeo shirts and the cowboy hat and like with the tight jeans and everything. And now he's wearing like hoodies and flat brims and like he's got a beard and it's just like that's
no bearded Garth is a little bit hot. Like I dare to say, I'm kind of into it.
I just see rodeo Garth.
Rodeo.
Yeah. I want Shameless. I want him holding the rose and like wiggling his legs.
I'll tell you what, I went to a concert and the man has it.
Yeah.
Like there's no doubt. I mean, he is all over the stage. He's just killing it. And it's just, it's amazing. He's
I wonder if he's ever like fallen down. the number of times that he like runs around the stage, he's got to have like tripped and fallen down at least.
Oh, I'm sure. There's no way he hasn't, because I mean, he's all over that stage and he's just killing it. It's hit after hit after hit, and everybody.
And then he comes back out at the end of the show and says, "All right, is there anything I didn't play?"
Yeah,
with the acoustic, and just plays
everybody holds up the signs, and he did it's like request. It's so cool.
Yeah.
The entire show was a full on experience. I don't know how Garth Brooks managed to make an arena full of people feel like I was hanging out with all of my friends at a house party.
I've seen him a couple of times, and it was for sure.
Everybody's singing, and even if you don't know the person next to you, like you're bonding with that person because you all know these songs and you're all standing up. It was I've never been to a concert that's that great.
Sends me back to jumping on my parents' bed with my sister watching the VHS tape like around 1996 or so. We wore that thing out. Who else? What other than Garth Brooks? Of course, that's got to be the number one.
God, yeah, I know, it's Garth freaking Brooks. In the country world, I don't know if this is true for the pop world and hip hop and other things like that. And I've heard that it's not. But in country, man, we're all friends. And I know that sounds really cheesy to say, but country artists are good to radio and they're good to their fans. And I don't know if I've ever really had a negative experience with an artist. Yeah. And I mean, it is really, really refreshing, and it's nice to see these. I think country artists genuinely care about their fans. I think they care about radio, and they're good to them, and they're just not mean, and they're not dismissive like I've heard some like top 40 pop kind of acts are towards fans.
Really?
But yeah, country artists are freaking nice. Yeah. They come in and obviously there's different personalities and you've got different levels of warmth because, they're people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for them, I mean, they're all kind and professional and delightful people as a whole. So, I mean, the wonderful, so there are certain artists that have come into our studio so many times and that I've watched them become like these little brand new artists and now they have, 4 or 5 hit songs, if not more. And I say that I like to spoil them, like, cause they're like my babies. Yeah. Like when they come into my studio, I want to mother them so hard. Like I
remember when you first came in.
I'm just like, oh, little baby, like you look hungry. Do you want me to fix you?
Are they not letting you eat?
I mom them so hard. Like we had this morning actually, we had Chris Jansen in the studio. And
he's a skinny little booger.
He is. Every morning, or every time he comes into our studio for any kind of interview, before the interview, I stop and I pick him up a Mountain Dew because he's obsessed with Mountain Dew. It's like he drinks them all the time. And we never have them in the studio because none of us drink Mountain Dew because, we don't. So it's never in our fridge. And so every morning, before he comes in, we have an interview scheduled with him, I stop and I get him a Mountain Dew because I know that when he comes in, he's going to be like, y'all got any Mountain Dew? Can I have a Mountain Dew? And
it's the little things, Amber. There you go.
I love spoiling him on that line. I'm like, I do. I stopped and got you one this morning, and I know it's going to make his day a little bit easier, a little bit better. And that's why I do it, because I want to spoil him. And so that tends to be the relationship that I have with quite a few of these do you have younger artists.
Like a notes page in your phone of like, okay, Chris Jansen, Mountain Dew. Okay, so-and-so likes this.
I will go out of my way to, like Dustin Lynch, I've known him forever and will do I'm like, Dustin, do you need anything? You want me to fix you a cup of coffee? You want me to go pick you something up to eat? Like, because I just want to spoil him. Yeah. There's so many of them like that. Yeah. I just want to baby him.
Well, what do you have like a dream job that you're working toward now? What's the next steps?
It's really interesting because obviously like part of growing up is deciding to do that you want different things. And for a long time, I thought I wanted to be a music director, which would be the person who picks out the songs and go on the radio. Yeah. Because
is that like program director? Is that the same?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
And so going back to that idea that it feels so special to get in your car and hear your favorite song playing. I wanted to be a part of that experience for someone for so long. But the closer I've gotten to the artist, the more I love them just as people and not just as art makers, if that makes sense.
No, for sure.
And I don't know if it so strongly used to be my goal to be the person who picks out the songs on the radio. But now I've gotten to this point where I love these artists as people. And I don't know if I could say, I don't know if I could say no to them. Yeah. Like, because, I mean, they're my babies. I spoil them.
Yes, this song, not that, yeah.
So, for a long time, I did want to be a music director. And I guess in the past, maybe not even a year, I've really thought about becoming a personal assistant to an artist and kind of looking in that direction just because, once again, I spoil all these people anyway. And I think there's something so special about helping someone, not because you want them to like you more, because you want something, but because it can make their life easier. And also, at some point, like, their time becomes more valuable than doing a load of laundry.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
They could be writing a song, they could be resting, they could be doing a radio interview.
Oh, yeah. Once you get more and more things going on, you don't need to be emailing somebody about something minuscule. You need to be whatever.
Yeah, you need to be
practicing your vocals or writing a song or working out. Or
like cleaning your house. That's picking up dry cleaning. Those are like little things that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about like my life, like doing my job, obviously, and then plus doing like trying to run errands in the afternoons and stuff like that. And I think about how stressful it is. And then I look at their life and I'm like, oh my, that's your whole life, except times 20. Yeah. Like, you're constantly go.
Gotta be, yeah.
Yeah, and if you only get, a few days a month home, you don't want to spend those days running errands.
Yeah.
And so it's something I'm really interested in, and I would like to really pursue. And I think it might seem like a weird step for some people.
There you go, Garth Brooks, if you're looking for a person.
Garth, if you're listening to this, I'd like to be your personal assistant. Anything you need, I will spoil you. But I think that would be and I'm such a people pleaser anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be a really great position for me. And in a way, I guess I still am helping them put something on the radio and listeners get it. Yeah. Because
plus you have all this experience in this side of things. So that would only help. Yeah. Working with, artists.
Yeah. So. And that's what I think too. I think it would be a really good next step for me. And I'm not ready to like jump ship on my job or anything, but it's something I would like to look into. Yeah. And I just think it seems like a suitable job for my personality. And
there's nothing wrong with, looking ahead towards something. That doesn't mean you're not focusing on your job now, but you should be moving towards something at any time. Yeah. If you're not moving towards something, you're stagnant, and there's no fun in that.
And the beautiful thing about growing up is that you get to change your mind. Yeah. Like, I don't have the same dreams that I had at 20. I don't have the same dreams that I had at 22. Oh, man,
I'm a totally different person than I was at 22 years old.
I know. I was a train wreck at 20 years old. Yeah. Like, I was awful.
I turned 21 my senior year of college. So I was 21 when I moved up here and was just turned 22. So I'm pretty sure like my whole 22 to 23, I was drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Just fog. Yeah. Can't remember much about it, but you learn and you live and figure things out, and you get brokenhearted, and you feel better, and then you feel worse, and then you feel better, and then
I mean, that's just it's the thing, and I feel like I've grown up in this industry, and because I started my internship when I was like 19, 20.
Wow, yeah.
And so I've grown up in this industry now. I mean, I say grown up like I've been doing this for 60 years or something. But I mean, I'm 26 now. I turned 27 this year.
It's a lot of that's experience.
It's a lot of time to spend like my youth in radio. So I think it's wonderful that my dreams have shifted, and guess what? I'm sure they'll do it again. Oh, like, I'm 26. I'm sure it'll happen again.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just owning that, and just owning that you can change your mind. You don't have to always ride it out to the end. Yeah. Sometimes you just change. And I think that's where I'm at, which is a beautiful and terrifying place all at the same time.
I couldn't agree anymore. Well, if you could go back to yourself at 18 or 19 when you started that, or around that time, and give yourself some advice, what would you tell yourself?
I think this is something that I've done, but I would tell myself to do it better and more. Be nice to everybody. Like, we talked about it a little bit earlier about how you never know who is sitting beside you at a restaurant. You never know. And I don't think I'm a mean person, but I do wish that I would have, at that age, I would have tried harder to be nicer. Yeah. And, but you don't know who anybody is. And just be nice. Like the idea that this town is so small and almost everyone you interact with is somehow going to re-loop into your life, and just having a better understanding of that. But you know what? At 19 or 20, I'm not sure many people do have an understanding.
And you could
go
back and you could tell a 19 or 20-year-old that, and they'd be like, "Yeah, okay, I get it, whatever."
Okay, that's cool. That's nice. Like, but I do. But now, a few months ago, man, I ran into this guy who now he just wrote a #1 song with Luke Combs. But I know him because when I worked at WSIX, he used to always ask me, like when we used to do stuff at a bar or anything, there was like a VIP section. He would always come up to me and be like, "Hey, do you have an extra pass, like a VIP pass or whatever?" And I got to know him, like just from him being a fan of the radio station. And I would help him out like whenever I could.
Good, yeah.
And I, my role just like, don't be a jerk. Don't do anything stupid. Like, and if you do, I didn't give you a pass. Yeah. And I'd let him go back there, whatever, just be good. I don't care. It's fine. And, years later, I ran into him. We're still friends and whatnot, but I ran into him pretty recently out at that same bar, and he introduced me to his fiance, and he was like, Amber was one of the first people I met when I moved to Nashville, and I made all these connections because of Amber, because she used to she used to let me into the VIP area where all like the songwriters were standing and stuff. So I made all of these connections through.
That's awesome.
Being that. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Like, I had no idea that, basically smuggling him backstage made such an impact on his career and where he's at. And he just, it was such a heartwarming and like wonderful feeling to know that I helped somebody do something like that. And I wish somebody would have told me that there would be moments like that, and they will make you feel this way, and you should try to create those moments at every possible turn, because they are the most rewarding moments of my entire career.
It's the damn golden rule, everybody.
It is. Be nice.
Yeah.
Just be nice.
Not long after I started this podcast last year, I got, a month or two in, and I'm like, I'm always having to get guests and always having to do this and that, and the same kind of, some of the stuff you do. And I don't know, one day I was kind of feeling annoyed with it or down with it, and I got a random Facebook message from somebody I don't know that had just moved to town and heard about the podcast and listened to it, and he was a songwriter, and he was like, "Thanks so much for doing this. This is really helping hear how people are doing things." And I'm like, that's just the greatest thing ever. That's exactly why I started this, because I think about when I do this, I want it to be something that 21-year-old Jacob, when I moved here, fresh out of college and had no idea about anything, this is the kind of shit that I would want to hear. People that are doing it, they're in the muck, And so, when I got that message, it was that same kind of feeling, like, oh, this is great. Keep going. Fuel for the fire,
Yeah, it's not. And I don't think, you're right, 19, 20-year-old me would have never understood. Like, but it is. It's when you get those moments, you're like, oh my God, like this is why I do this. This is why I want to be a nice person. It's not because, you don't do this for the money. You don't, do this for anything other than the wonderful feeling that it gives you.
To help people.
Yeah. And it's honestly, like I said, one of the most rewarding moments of my entire career is just those moments when it comes full circle and it comes back to you, and somebody says, "Thank you for being so kind to me.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so nice. This is what happened." And just knowing that you did something good for somebody, dude, it's the best part, without a doubt.
Well, you heard it, folks. Be nice to people and don't talk shit. Well, Amber, thank you so much. This was great. Thanks for talking. Where could, if somebody wanted to go and see your fantastic tweets and Instagram posts, you are one of my favorite people to follow, because most people are annoying to me. I'm not going to lie. Most people, social media, I get annoyed at their videos and they're, oh, look, I'm eating this and whatever. Yeah. But you're hilarious. So.
I'm so much sass on all the social.
What was it? I was looking earlier and you did an interview and you had a Spotify playlist that was like, songs I sing loudly and off key. Yeah.
So my my Spotify playlists are also pretty fantastic. We actually had Chris Young come in a few weeks ago, and like he came into like my office area, and I was listening to a Spotify playlist that I had created.
Yeah.
And I was just like casually listening to it. Well, when they walked in, I walked over, I hugged Chris, and I hugged the record label rep who was with him, and I was talking to her, and Chris just died laughing, and I was like, what's so funny? And he was like, Amber, you were listening to Waterfalls by TLC at 9 a.m. on a playlist you've titled You a Bad Bitch.
Well, thank you so much for talking.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was fun.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor and go follow Amber on Twitter at Radio Amber and on Instagram at The Great Ambino. That's The Great AMBINO. Never a dull moment with that girl. I love her to death. Thank you so much for listening. I will put up links to those social medias and the Taste of Country Nights website and more all over at the show notes page, which will be at don'tstifleme.com/043. Now, like I said at the start, if you enjoyed this talk, then most importantly, click subscribe so you get the new episodes. Maybe even leave a review if you really enjoyed it. There's also 42 other episodes you can go back and check out if you haven't yet. But also, beyond that, if you just want more, then you can go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. And over there, you can pledge a little bit of money per month, and you get behind the scenes perks that nobody else has access to. And that little bit of money per month goes to help me be able to keep doing these talks for you and keep producing the podcast episodes for you out there to listen to. Once again, if you would like to do that, it is www.patreon.com/DSM podcast. If not, no worries. I'll still be here for you, and I hope you come back and listen to another episode. The podcast social medias are all at DSM Podcast. Mine are all at Jacob Stiefel. That's JACOB STIEFEL. Thank you once again for being here. Thank you for being you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon.